history in the making. The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat, huge adventure.
Okay, so hopefully we are going to have a little bit more success with the Starlink. I just did the live with Dan, and it was bloody shocker. I don't know what happened there. It was both of our Starlinks, I suppose, but Dan's was working better than mine. We were getting a very weak signal, and really wasn't much chop at all. So I'm just cleaning the camera here. Right. Yeah. So anyway, there's we don't have a big lead in. We don't have a big 60-second lead in sort of thing at the moment. So people will be coming on, but you can grab it there, and we've got some interesting things happening on the tracker. So let's wait and see what we come up with. Anyway, the signal looks clear right now, so hopefully it just holds there. And I'll go straight to the tracker, and we'll just start doing the bits and pieces and then see who turns up. So I'm assuming that okay, Sienna, all good on YouTube. Thanks for that. Just saying, I'm assuming we've got sound and vision. So all good. Jane's asleep again now. I know that because I called her after Dan and she was going then. So all cool. All right, so I'll get the tracker on here. And yeah, there's some fun stuff going on there, which I'll do a video replay of the tracker as well once we get towards the end. But anyway, there's the big screen. So we got Popeye and John over here under the Galapagos, and then we got the little fleet down here. And all of the leaders will be in the next maybe 24 hours. The lead group, and then it'll be the mid group, and then the tail enders, and then the guys right at the back. So we'll head straight down there and look at Popeye and John. They're still sailing side by side, which is fair enough. I'd probably be doing the same if I was out there. Boy, this is the interesting. I've got to keep moving it in to zoom down on them just to get that. Geez, we're just about off the scale. Okay, so let's just check again to see how far John's in the lead. And he's about a mile and a bit behind Popeye. I mean, John is a mile and a bit in front of Popeye. So that's fun. They'll see each other. And the conditions are really good. It's as we saw in the forecast out there. It's a sort of a southeaster. There's probably 5 to 10, 12 knots maybe. So, well, maybe a bit more. Popeye's doing 4.8 and John is doing 4.6. So it could be 10 to 15, I suppose. No 24-hour run, which is a bit disappointing because there were some things I wanted to show you on that, but I decided to drop it out. So waves, under 2 meters, 1.5 meters, so very pleasant. Temperature will be the same. It'll be the high 20s or low 30s, one of the two. And I don't think we're going to see much change over the next couple of days, but let's have a quick look anyway. I'll zoom it out so we can see what's coming. There they are there. And another one. Okay, well, maybe it's going to pick up. So just quickly push that through for a day. No, pretty much the same. Southeasters might be swinging a little bit. No, pretty much the same. So what they're doing now, you may remember when the fleet was under the Galapagos before, they had to get down to get into the trades, and that's effectively what they're doing, but they've got good conditions. There's pretty much wind all around, and by the time they get down here, that's the... they popped the equator, by the way. They probably did that yesterday. So haven't seen any graphic, gaudy videos of crossing the line ceremonies. Maybe they forgot. Anyway, they're in the Southern Hemisphere now, back in Ausland, Australia land. And they've got breeze down here, so they'll start to pick up their speed when they get down. But they've done pretty well at the moment, and I'm not hearing big issues about squalls and lightning and thunder and all that sort of stuff. So all is good on that department. Now we'll head back down to the rest of the fleet here. It just reminded me I didn't answer Gary. He sent me a message and I didn't answer him about his safety check-in on the 1st and the 14th of the month. He apparently sent it to Jane, and she may have sent me. What that is with the they use their phones and whatever to get messages out to their managers and bits and pieces. But on the YB3, you can do messaging, and we have a requirement that on the 1st and the 14th of every month, they have to send us a message using the four button keyboard of the YB3, just to make sure we know they're able to do it and they've got good practice, because that's a vital piece of safety communication. If they're in distress or something, touch wood, they can abandon ship with that, and they can send us messages and so on, and we can send them messages. So let's see, Gary, 3.3 knots, not going super fast. I can't tell you how far he's gone, so it'll be really simple tonight. Josh, 5 knots, and obviously a lot faster than Gary. Jasmine, doing 5.5. We're going faster again as we get further up the line. Adam, 5.6, and Urton, 4.9. That always happens. And here comes Jacob. What's he doing? 5.4. So Adam's gaining right in the last 4 hours, but we don't know overall. I'll be replaying the video, and you'll be able to see Jacob come screaming up from behind, start to pass a few boats. So Eric, 4.7, still holding in there. So the mid-fleet, which includes Christian, is 5.5 knots. Got a really cool video. You may have seen the photo of his boat taken by the boat that met them. It was a couple of days ago we put that up. They've actually put a drone up and done a video clip, which I've got now on my messages, and I'll try and post it and get it up. It's quite cool when you think about it. Little boat. And the other thing it showed, speaking to Dan mentioned, voluntarily how the boats really keep moving in light calm weather. And ironically, the video that we've got of Argo, it's flat calm, flat as a tack. There's hardly any breeze, and he's chuffing along, with his kites up and stuff, doing 3 knots or something, making a wake. There just seems to be no breeze at all, so it's moving quite nicely. I mean, it's not a lightweight flyer, but they certainly don't get bogged down and can't make tracks in light winds. So hence we see Renaud 34 days across the paddock here. That's pretty impressive, and the whole fleet's moving really well. So that's all good. So Christian, 5.5 knots. That's pretty good. Who was the fastest there? I think it was Adam. Adam's in the mid group. Adam's 5.6 knots, doing really well. Dan Turk up there with the leaders, 5.6. There you go. It's ironic, eh? The lead group's always just a little bit faster than the tail enders, because the wind's pretty consistent. And then Pila, 4.9 knots, and Kerry, 4.5. Now, some of you will be tracker freaks, like I can be sometimes, but I'm not at the moment, where you're checking the tracker every 4 hours to see what they're doing. If you had done that or had been doing that, you will have noticed that for some reason Kerry went down to 2.5 knots in the previous 4 hours. So these 4 hours, from 12 to 1600, he's on 4.5, but from 8 till 12, he's only on 2.5. Now, that's the average over 4 hours. So I immediately thought, what's going on there? I didn't worry about it because he's still steering the track. But he definitely slowed up for something. And the other interesting thing, which I'll show you in detail when I do the video replay, is Kerry's track compared to some of the others. You'll see Renaud straight as a button. Pila is relatively straight. Dan is sailing a reasonably straight course. Kerry, from way back here somewhere, he seems to be tacking downwind or something. He's always duk, 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 duk. And if you had straightened out all those duk, 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 you'll find that he's probably right up here. He's absolutely lost ground. I mean, at one point, I think starting from the 17th, so 9 days ago, Pila was nearly 100 miles behind Kerry, okay? And now she's right on top of him. It's all getting very close. And so there's a story to tell there, I'm sure. We don't get any reports from either of those two. They're just hopeless. I got no idea what they're doing. I think Pila is filing on Instagram. I should be checking there. She doesn't do anything on Facebook. And Kerry lost his mini Starlink overboard, so he's down to a satellite phone. And I think he's got a Iridium Go. I'm not sure. I forget now. So he's in the dark a bit as well. So we haven't had much interaction. So I'm sure when they get in, hopefully we'll get them to grab someone else's Starlink or something, and we can talk to both of them and find out what's going on, what they've been up to. But it's neck and neck, so that's all kind of cool. So yeah, Kerry's on 4.5, and Pila's on 4.9. Okay, so I think that explains that lot. Of course, Holiday Dan got in this morning in the dark, anchored out, and we just spoke. It was about 6:30 in the morning when we were speaking, maybe half an hour ago or something. We were chatting. You can see that down underneath this post if you're on Facebook. Oh, it'd be on YouTube as well, the one before, the live before. Quality was a shocker in terms of vision, but at least the audio is still fine, and you can hear what he's got to say. It was a very interesting conversation. Anyway, I'll talk about that in a minute when we get off. And Renaud got in the day before, and we were lucky to have a young lady there and a family on the boat. I'm just waiting for some other pictures. She might take some pictures and send it, and then I'll show you some pictures of her boat and bits and pieces. Turns out we sort of know her back from the GGR in 2018, and they've been cruising around for a while, and they've got a nice boat there, and I'll put that up as a post when we get some pics. So that was all cool. So we know what Renaud's up to, and he was invited to dinner that night. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I digress. So what I'm going to show you now is the weather for a couple of days here. There's Gary. I need to shrink it down a bit. Here we go. That's probably enough to see what's going to happen. I'm going to quickly move that forward to the 29th. There we go. So there's more breeze coming. You can see when that clicked through the day. So that's one day away. It jumped up to a more solid green. And if I go another day in, it's still holding all the way through. So that's good. If I go to the 31, still holding for the sake of the mid group and all the rest of it, back to the 2nd of May. There's still plenty of breeze, so those that are coming in on Friday, it's going to take. They're going to be making good speeds, 5 knots or so. And currents, what have they got at the moment? That's too far back. So I go back here. There's not much helping them, but there's nothing against them. That's the good news. Whatever they've got, it's a little bit of assistance at the moment. And by tomorrow, it's less. So they can't get a free ride until starting on the 30th or the 1st maybe. There's a little bit more going through. And temperature's a bit the same. It's got a little bit cooler, but from what they were used to, but not too bad. Okay, so distances. If we look at the distances and try and look at an ETA for a few of the lead boats here, it's going to be touch and go. So Kerry, I thought, wow, why does he slide to 2.5? That's crazy. Okay, so at 4 o'clock UTC, 1600 UTC, Kerry had 88 miles to go. And so, I can do a bit of a calculation here. So 1 hour ago, 6:30, must be 7 o'clock. So 1 hour ago was 7 o'clock local time. It's only 11 hours behind. So, okay, and 88, that's going to be 16 hours. So around about 16 hours or so for Kerry, and it was an hour ago, it was 7 o'clock. So it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning local time for Kerry. So if you're watching this, so about 1 p.m., 1 a.m. for Kerry, and then let's say 2 a.m. for Pila. 2 a.m. for Pila. Near enough. We'll just see how much further. Might be a bit more than that, actually. Brutal. Yeah, 104, 88. Yeah, 2 or 3 a.m. local time. And that means 16 hours, let's say 17, 18 hours. So 18 hours from now. So that's 6 hours off that. And we're UTC at 7, so it's 5 and 6 is about 11 o'clock in the morning. 11 o'clock 11 o'clock UTC. Tomorrow, we're likely to see both of them turn up somewhere around about there. So that answers that one, and then if that makes sense, so UTC halfway between Kerry and Pila are about 1100 UTC tomorrow morning. They should be heading into the anchorage, which is going to be sort of between 1 and 3 a.m. Tomorrow morning local time. So they're coming in the dark as well. Dan said it was extremely dark. It was black, and there's plenty of boats in the anchorage, so they can see the masthead lights, and they can come in and anchor really close. Where Dan is now, technically, it meets the rule because he's very close to the breakwater there. He could just row across and step ashore and go and do his customs clearance and everything like that. So he's an applicable anchorage, and that's how the timeline gets cut off. But anyway, we follow that. So Dan is now 200 miles away. So a little bit. Let's just say he's been doing 120-mile days, so he's a little bit under. So he's got about say 22 hours to go. So you can work that out from there. We'll talk about that again tomorrow morning. So that's okay. I'm just going to run a quick video now and show us some of these things. If you look at Kerry's track here, you'll see he's wandering all over the ocean. Boom, boom, comes down here, goes up there. Especially back here, you can see dunk, 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 dunk. Now I'm not saying that others aren't doing that either. Dunk, dunk. But if there's dunk right up there, if there's one thing I can tell you, the guys that are doing really well in the GGR, and we'll come back and you watch this. Here's Renaud, right? Renaud is the Renaud is the yellow one. So that's his line there, and it's generally a lot straighter. See that? If you compare the tracks here, there's Renaud going up there. He's pretty straight all the way down. You look at dunk, 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 as it goes. Not my sound effects. And even Pila is the same. If you look at Pila is, you can't see it. Anyway, so that there's a story there. Now, I'm just wondering whether what's the driving force behind that. So that'll be one of my questions when we get to chat. So let's just pull this back, and we can do a drag race on the video. If I'm boring people, sorry about that, but I think you might like a video replay. Okay, we'll get this down here. How far? I've got to go back to make it. I'll make it a bit, a little bit longer. No, I won't. I'm going to just do the last bit because then you can see the boat's bigger. Okay, we're just about to start, so I'm going to drag it back. Boom, 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 boom. Get it back here. I can always bring it forward. Okay, so the boats to watch. You know what I was telling you about on the 17th. Here's the date here. That's the 14th of April. So we can come forward about that. If we look here on the 17th of April, you can see here. Here's Kerry there. There's Pila 100 miles behind him. And he's alongside Dan. Okay, so this is on the 17th of April. So we'll take it from about there. Gary's at the back. You can pick your favourite boat. I hope you can see that. And I'll just start this rolling. Here they go. So you can watch. There's Jacob in the middle of the fleet. He's passing, just going over the top of Adam, and Kerry's going down, zigzagging. Pila and Dan and Renaud are going dead straight, but you can see the course that Kerry's taking. Pila's pretty much doing the same, and Pila's gaining. And you just saw, Canadan, he just did a blinder. He just pushed way ahead of everyone else. Renaud's pushing out to the front there, and Jacob's coming up, passing Trekker now, all that sort of stuff. Renaud's in. There goes Dan, and you saw just at the end. I'll just play that little bit at the end. If you watch Kerry, he doesn't stop, but he slows right down just at the last little bit. You just watch Kerry on this one. Okay, here he goes. Pila's just above him, and then all of a sudden, just about here, he stopped. Just about stopped there. So something was up. Maybe he went to sleep. Maybe something came out of gear or whatever. I'm not sure. But anyway, you can see the controls there. If I take this out of here, when you come down to the bottom of the tracker, if you're on your PC, that's what you see. This is just the one here, and you can drag them back and this, that, and the other. But if you want to do the video replay, you just got to hit that little triangle there, and you see this other screen come up. This little button here is in the middle, 50-50. So you slide that up to determine the speed. See, as it's up there, see it's going fast. If I want to go backwards, I can race them backwards. Right, see this there? I can just put it there, and you're going backwards. So that's your speed. You slide that along to the speed you want, and you've got the date and time scale there to see what's going. That's going really slow, so you can go back to check things, whatever. And at any given time, you can I'll click on it and get the data as well. But that's your real-time live there. So we'll speed it up, go to the beginning, and here you can see the time scale sliding along there as well. So the video replay is a bit of fun, and you can follow when Jacob's coming through there. Anyone think I'm obsessed with Jacob? I'm not. He's just can't wait to find out what his bloody handbrake is. I don't think there's anything else to show you there, so I'm going to come back here and see what questions there are. Okay, boom. At least it's still working, I think. So it was fun talking to Dan. A couple of key points that he came out. One of them, I asked him, or he brought up about the light weather performance, how the boats just kept moving when there was very little wind, which is in a passage sense, not around the boys' club racing thing, but that's cool. And I asked him about how does he feel about the sensation of having built the boat, and then he's actually sailing it around the world now. And he says he thinks of that every day. He thinks of that aspect of the whole concept of starting from someone that couldn't even use a plane and never built anything before. He built this little boat, and then he's taught himself how to sail it. He was a good racing sailor before, but not solo sailor. And he's now racing around the world. It just blows him away, which I was very happy to hear that, because it's part of the reason we do all that. So that was fun. And he just had some good comments about life on board and how Starlink's changed the game. And it really has. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. For sure, it's pretty tough in a little boat all the way around the world for a year. So Starlink changes that, and it certainly knocks out the isolation. Like when John Guswell was going around, he's got nothing. He's not talking to anyone, really. And now, people are on there. He was having film nights, so he'd get together with Nikki's manager, wife, sexy wife. He calls her that, not me. And so she'd be there, he'd be there. They'd both be watching the movie, like as if they're got a date. He called it date night. They'd have a date night on board, when the conditions allow. So Starlink's changing the game, that's for sure. And it's hard to go back on that. So and it gives us a window into what's going on as well. And we'll optimise some of that as it goes forward. So all good. Okay, quick questions, and then we're out of here. The Journey of Shark, thanks for that. That's on YouTube. Wind on Water. Ron Harvin, Ron, I asked Dan about the last leg conditions because I think it is so awesome that we have had zero attrition since the very start. Yeah, it is, and there's a couple of reasons for that. If you know the history of the Golden Globe, in 1968, 9 sailors set out and only one finished. That was Robert Knox Johnson. When we did it in 2018, we had 18 starters, I think it was, and we only had 5 finishes, 5 boats that got all the way around. In 22, we set off again with 18, and we only had 3 finishes. Okay, so the good news here is that, first of all the boats are really well built and well prepared. Right, I think that's across the board. They're all. Always, and I say it often, I'm blown away at the quality of the builds. Right, I always thought, oh yeah, that's fine, plywood strong, stuck a bit of paint on it, away you go. Jeepers, they're immaculate, and there's a lot of pride in the fleet because they've built their boats and a lot of attention to detail. And we're also getting a bit of experience. There's collective experience from the first Transat in 21, and then again in 23. And so the boats are turned up here, and they're able to talk to each other. And as Dan said, Renaud has been giving him lots of performance hints and also single-handed sailing hints. And that's happening in the fleet. Everyone's sharing experience and shortcutting some of the learning curve on various aspects. So that's a good thing. It keeps them all in the groove. And there's this fleet mentality thing as well. I've experienced that when I did my solo sail around the world in the BOC in 1990, way back then. it really adds a bit of encouragement and a bit of comfort knowing that there were 20, 21 other boats out there when I was there. Now, they weren't beside you, but you just know they're in the water as a fleet. And you know when you're getting the shit kicked out of you, that's what's happening to all the other guys in the fleet as well. So you don't feel so bad. Because I always used to think, situations at the time, Kay Cotty and some of the other solo sailors that went around completely by themselves, no other boats in, anywhere, and they went non-stop as well. That'd be hugely more spooky and more demanding psychologically. But when you've got all the other boats out there with the 580s, they all know they're all going through it. And even though most of them, it's a natural phenomenon when you're about to set off at the start, you're a bit nervous, and it's been a lot of tension getting all the last minute stuff done before the start. That's completely human as well. But because the others are there and going, it draws you in. So it's a combination, and I think you're right. And in the beginning, I had no. When I say in the beginning, in a few years ago, with the MGR, I thought, it'll be interesting. I wonder how many will finish. But if you ask me that 6 months before the start of this race, the MGR and the Transat, I completely changed my opinion on that because I think I know the boats are right. There's a lot of camaraderie and a lot of assistance that they're all providing each other. And there's also another element. The course is pretty good. Like it's trade wind sailing. You can still get clobbered. Ask Ayrton. I mean, he got clobbered when he did his Transat. 70 knots and all that sort of stuff. Big seas. A few of them did, but they all survived. And so far, I'm the first one to concede that the wind is all blowing generally in the right direction, and we've had a pretty good run. Even this one so far, touch wood. I think the conditions were as good as you get. I'm not saying they were perfect, but they're as good as it gets in this sort of stuff. So yeah, it's very impressive, and I'll bring it back again. One final comment on that is we can all make it look way too easy. I mentioned it last night. People look at it and say, oh yeah, I can do that. I can put a little boat and go. But there's some good sailors out there, and there's some very good boats, and there's some very interesting adventures going on. So yeah, it is good. So thanks for that, Ron. G'day, Christine. You're in Tahiti. There you go. Aeronautic, is Tahiti crew working well for the entrance? I think it is because no, I haven't heard anyone complaining, and we were adamant. We've been through Tahiti a few times, and every time we go through, I use Tahiti crew. I really like what they do, and I'm living in France, and I understand how the French bureaucracy works. we like it. You just got to know how to work with it, and certainly by asking that question, Aeronautic BC, you probably have had some experience with them or the paperwork involved with getting in and out of French Polynesia. It's all very straight. The authorities there are great, so don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it, but there's a lot of things to be careful of. So it's mandatory. You have to, all entrants have to sign on with Tahiti crew, pay the fees, and get them to assist all the things you're doing. So, and I believe that's working pretty well. So that's cool. G'day, John. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join and sign up and all that sort of stuff. If you're on Facebook, please do. We're slowly climbing on Facebook with 7-6 now, I think it is. So that's cool. We've nearly caught up to Jasmine. But anyway, there's still a lot of people doing emotions that haven't signed up on Facebook yet. And YouTube's growing slowly, so that's good. Ray Ross, great to hear from Dan. Sure was. I'm sure it's a boost to all the others on the way. Yeah. They're all looking forward. I really liked Jacob's Jacob's video, which is a couple of posts down. He was super happy, so I called him Mr. Happy. You could just feel it, when he's talking to the camera and stuff. He's on top of the world, and I know he is proud of his boat and what's going on, because everyone's come from a different background to get where they are, and he's particularly getting off on it, and it's very obvious. We love it. We like people who, they're just very emotional. It's like something else happened today, and I wrote it down somewhere. It's about living, live life with emotions. Life's all about emotions, and some of them are going through a lot of amazing stuff. Sienna, what's your teddies to Antarctica? And was wondering if Buttercup is still being sailed. sorry, off topic. Well, it's not off topic. It's all about adventure and it's what we do. That's why we've got all these teddy bears around, and why I've got Pete. If you saw it, oh, you wouldn't see it, but in this sock, believe it or not, is my favourite thing. This is a kangaroo skin koala bear. There's a real story to that. It's on my private Facebook page. But anyway, that was my first trip to Antarctica. It was really quite amazing, and it was cool. So Buttercup, my BOC boat, amazing story. What happened there? I'd sold it at the end of the race. Guy paid some money, and he was going to go and get sponsors. Never got sponsors, so we had to ask for the boat back, which we got it back. Then I sold it to a lady. I was about to sell it to a lady who was going to do a solo non-stop around the world. She wanted to be the first woman to do it, right? This American lady, a really nice sailing instructor. She flew out from America. We're out on the sail, and it was only when we were on the hand, like she was doing the final sail to take control of the boat, and she told me that, and I said, hang on a minute. Kay Coddy was the first. It's already been done. Kay Coddy had done it like 10 years or so before, and she was mortified. She had no idea. And she had a huge sponsor. It was General Electric, who built nuclear power stations. It was there. They wanted to do it because that guy was one of her students. She's a sailing instructor. And I thought, oh, jeepers, the sail's going to fall over anyway. And she said, oh, she'll tell her sponsors. And the next day came back and said, they said, don't worry, we're going to now carry on and we will go faster. So they shipped I offered to sail the boat back to America for them, but they shipped it. It cost like 3 or 4 times the amount. They stripped it, pulled everything apart, ready to do a big refit, and then the sponsor pulled the pin. So the boat sat in a shed for about a year or so, and then a guy came and bought it for nothing. Paid like $40,000. It was a $300,000 boat. And he only needed a 50-foot boat because he was in trouble with the IRS in America, because he said he had on the books that he had a 50-foot boat, and they were going to come and see him, and he needed to get a 50-foot boat, so he offered him $40,000 or something. Got it, and I was anyway. And then he eventually sold it some years later in pieces, and the guy fixed it up and raced it successfully in the Transpacks and all that sort of stuff for many years. And then about 3 or 4 years ago, it turned up in Australia again. A guy bought it and cruised across the Pacific. So I think it's still in Australia, in Victoria. It was a great boat. It was a fantastic boat. So, and I hope you enjoyed the Teddies to Antarctica, and I hope you liked the anchorage, getting like 80, 90 knots on the anchorage there. Anyway, so I was off topic then as well. By the way, aren't Jacob and Christian playing a blinder? Metal yellow, first red. Huh? Okay, Ray Ross, by the way, aren't Jacob and Christian playing a blinder? Blinder, metal, yellow, first red. Not sure what that one means. Not sure. No, but they're both good blokes. They're having fun. Both having fun. Vic St. John, good to be watching today from Canada. Go, little B, yeah, for sure. Okay, so that was a bit sidelined, but anyway, thanks for following, and if all goes well, we'll see you tomorrow. So have a good day or night. So I've got to press this one. See you later.
Witness history in the making. The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat, huge adventure.